ourselves a good run here to the end. We're going to go for short qualifying as usual, of course. Evening race in Bahrain. It is a 15-turn circuit. We will have plenty of DRS to use as well. And in terms of the new Drivers' Championship and the way that things are worked, we're going to be completely messing up the established order. We're going to place Merckx with Marco. Marco will move to being to having a world champion teammate to having a world champion teammate. They're just different. So he'll move from under the auspices of our double world champion Moist under our newest world champion Merckx. And they will be driving the Mercedes. So that will make life rather easy if you're listening in and haven't necessarily been sure whether I'm talking about the car or the driver. We have Ricky Maru and Sticky, Ricky and Sticky, and there will be a theme of rhyming driver names, but they will be in the Red Bull. Ricky moving from the Red Bull, from the Haas car over into the Red Bull. Moist stays in his Aston Martin, but now has Nike as teammate, and AJ will be in the V-Carb with Chuck Norris. Unsku moves into Haas with Atsu, Unsku and Atsu, another rhyming pair. We have Mulan and Speedy Spud in the McLaren with Bjorn de Boer and Floyd Pink paired up in the Williams team. Oh My Jeeves and to be announced in the Ferrari, the Scuderia Ferrari. And then we have unconfirmed teammates at the moment for Stake and for Alpine, but we'll get you those as soon as possible. Looks like I imagine we've got AJ or ARL. No, I was going to say AJ or ARL is first out on track. It's certainly going to be a Haas. It's not Atsu. It's going to be Unsku. To take us onto the first flying lap. He takes up ARL's usual position of first out on track. I'll try and keep an eye on the live chat and the driver chat room if I can, but obviously my eyes will be most paying attention to the main screen here. Ivan just getting his excuses in early, hoping that he survives and won't be as slow as a snail. Don't expect much because I'm definitely not on the level I used to be, he says. Oh, well, who is? Anyway, Unsku will fire out of the turn 15, use the DRS, and be heading down to find the braking zone for turn 1. Should be plenty of action on the first lap, down into the very tight apex of turn 1, but you can't maximise the run on the outside because you've got to cut back straight for turn 2 and 3. Quite easy to light up the rear tyres out of those two corners, and a lick of white smoke, thankfully, into turn 4 in front of Unsku. The apex is visible. The exit is absolutely not through turn 4. Unsku is purple, as you would expect for the first driver out on track, and we head down then, heavy braking, into turn 8. Next up, the hardest braking zone possibly on the Formula 1 calendar, question mark. But turn 9 through into the very tight turn 10, and then getting the power down again, very difficult. Unsku may be able to pick up a distant tow as he engages the DRS down the back straight towards the fast flying sector of turns 11 to the left, turn 12 to the right, and then turn 13 to the right with a decreasing radius. So you can run quite long and deep into this one, but maximizing your exit is really important because you don't get DRS on this mini straight in sector 3. Just one more braking zone to come, turn 14, and then turn 15 is an official number but is pretty bogus. There it is. You missed it, didn't you? And we fire out of the final corner. DRS back enabled again, and Unsku sets a 127.784. We go on board with double world champion the Maestro Moist as he finishes his lap and gets that slingshot out of the final corner and goes fastest, a 127.612. We've got Atsu out there on medium tyres. I'm not expecting fireworks from a driver on mediums, but still waiting then for the other laps to come in. Nike is about to cross the line here. Moist's new teammate. Nike goes third on a 29.6, and Atsu out there on the medium tyres at 130.0. I don't really fully understand why drivers go out on medium tyres to scrub in a set, but perhaps if you do know, you can let me know. Here comes Jeremy Clarkson with speed and power out of the final corner. and he goes third, a 129.0. We have an RB out there. I'm guessing it's not Ivan, is it? No, it's Chuck Norris, just starting his flying lap. And we'll try and find a Red Bull for you. It's Ricky Marou in 4th position. Ricky, the relentless Ricky Marou, but he does often come in second, and so the relentless bridesmaid, I think, we'll go for at the moment for Ricky Marou. But this season, it's all new, and it's all going to change for Ricky. Here comes Speedy Spud. Is he speedy, or is he slow on the way out of turn 14 and 15? Crosses the line. Well, it's handy. It's a 129, absolutely flat, 000 for Speedy Spud out there in the McLaren. Constant yellow flags on the track once again, as several drivers are pitting. We've got Merkt coming through, and fairly early for him to set a hot lap. Will Merkt be straight back on top? Not quite. 0.2 of a second away from Moist, and he is in 3rd place. Unsku in between the two of them. And I think we're looking forward to a slightly more competitive season. It would certainly be the hope of everybody who is a keen follower of the International Racing League. Merkt really had it his own way last season, but some extra time for the drivers to get used to the system, get used to the handling model, and then we've got Ivan, who hasn't raced for a long time, to just get around there. Let's follow Ivan, shall we, in the V-Carb. A very nice looking car as he misses the apex slightly through turn 13. May not be the end of the world. Gets 2 wheels out on the sand that is glued down to the surface there. Bit of an esports line, fully wide through turn 14. Tiny little lick of smoke from the inside right front there, and we go on through and out of the final corner, and it's a 130.001 for Ivan on his first flying lap for, I think, quite a long time in league racing. We have then Director Milan in 14th position, can usually put a lap together in quali, and I think he's planning to do a bit of a tow job here with his teammate. Out of the final corner they come. Teammate weaves to the pit lane entry, and this then will be Milan's next opportunity to have a try. I think we've got Merkt out there on a fast lap, have we? Has he managed to get out already on a fast lap? Let's see. Crosses the line. No, I think that was an out lap technically, or a charge lap in between those two. So just want to go back to Milan, who got the benefit of a tow for a few yards of the main straight, but may not be a magical time. But he does go purple in the first sector, does Milan. And I know many of these drivers take part in the Saturday night League of Destruction that has been run by Ricky Marou in the off-season, and you can find on this channel on a Saturday night usually, although it's the Thursday night next time. But the drivers will have to remember to drive a lot better than they do in that league here in a serious Formula 1 racing league, of course. It's Milan then through into the turn 11 and 12 now. On this next flying lap, should get a timing update, and it's 5.8 seconds only faster than he's been before, but another purple middle sector for Milan. That should be genuine, so I think he's there or thereabouts, the provisional front row here. Just need to float the car through turn 14, pick up the throttle as early as possible out there, try and get really good initial turn in and live with the oversteer on the exit. That's a P6 for Milan. Unsku's out in the Haas and running around, trying to get in a good sector. This is him coming out of turn 3. We've got a timing update in the small gap between turn 4 and turn 5. Merck goes fastest though, a 127.499. He was out a little bit ahead of Moist, who's doing a more traditional outlap, fast lap, in-lap routine. It looked like Merck may have done outlap, charge lap, outlap, fast lap, charge lap, fast lap. Easy for me to say. Here is Unsku then, gunning for that front row once again. He's had it taken off him from the merciless Merck. And Unsku then heads towards the braking zone for turn 11. So we've got fairly empty grandstands for qualifying here. You think they'd fill them, wouldn't you? Anyway, he is just 29 thousandths of a second over his first time. So A good final sector could save this one, but there's not much to do in this final sector. So here we go. Over the apex, a little bit of over rotation around the center of gravity there around the kart as he runs across the line, and it's faster but by not enough. It's a 127.637 to Moist's 127.612. Beyond the Port is running, he said, the last time with the G29. So it's quite amazing that he drives as well as he does using a G29. He's on his way in. A 128.0 is his best so far. Looks like we've got Speedy Spud out there trying to beat that perfect 129 flat time that he's got at the moment. And then we will also see behind him, starting his laps shortly, will be Stroke Moist. 7.5 minutes to run of the 18 that we have for qualifying. It's, well, 20, but you know how it is. Often it just disappears on us very quickly. So working through the gears into turn 11, knocking off the speed. Let's see how this time is for Speedy Spud. It's half a second better than he's been before, so that would put him potentially around P5 to 7. Let's see as we come on out of the final corner. Can he keep it all together? Can he even extend slightly? Looks like the rear end is very lively on this McLaren. Firing out of the final corner we go. And Spud goes to 6th. Exactly partway through where I planned. Just give me 1 second, please. Okay, so Moist in his next attack lap. Looks like Merckx and Moist are keeping their distance on track. Here comes Moist then. It's a long first sector to wait to see how you're doing. For us anyway, so that's 0.2 of a second better. That's all he needs to get the provisional pole. Now it's a case of just doing what he's done before, pretty much. As the track makes an improvement, should be able, he hopes, to try and make this one another bid for pole. Of course, Merck will come out after him and have another chance. So down into turn 11, you hear the beep. DRS coming off. I think that was a little hesitation mid-corner from the Aston. Let's wait for the next sector 2. He's nearly, well, he's 3.5 of a second faster than he's been before. Seems to sort of walk and shuffle through turn 13. That might hurt him down this short straight, but hopefully he'll be able to pick up the throttle early out of turn 14. That was a good amount of apex curb. Just helped to rotate the car a fraction of an extra degree or two. As we go across the line, Moist picks up a new pole position by 0.3 of a second. He did lose about 0.03 in that final sector, but that was impressive, a 127.2. And Spud was telling me that Moist is back on form after a rough first season on F124. He was the king of F123 in the International Racing League, but Jeremy Clarkson going 0.1 of a second faster than he's been before in the second sector, and getting a purple second sector there. Well, let's wait and see if he can string this together and make this really interesting. Oh, it's hurt on the exit of turn 14. His rear tyres just departed from him, and unfortunately he lifted his time by 0.1, but it wasn't enough to improve his position. He's in 5th place right now. At the back of the grid at the moment, we have Floyd Pink out on track. We have Ricky Maru, Chuck Norris and Ivan. The V-Carbs at the very back. Looks like Ricky, though, putting in a purple middle sector of the lap. So let's see if he can keep those soft tyres underneath him for the end of this initial lap. Here we go. To the line for Ricky, up to 4th from 11th. A 127.8, but that is still 0.6 of a second away from the Maestro Moist. At the back of the grid at the moment, haven't seen much from Chuck or from Floydy. Floyd is on a slow lap at the moment. I think Chuck is certainly chucking it into the corners. So this is Chuck Norris in towards turn 12. That is 0.8 of a second better. I put him in the low 1 minute 29s, which isn't actually enough to lift him from 13th position. So a monster final sector is what is on order here for Chuck Norris. As you know, he doesn't need qualifying, Chuck Norris. Qualifying needs him. And we go across the line, and he got 7/10 out of that one, but no big improvement. Into the pits comes his teammate, locking up the tyres and scrapping that set. Milan, only 1,000th of a second faster than he's been before, but a purple middle sector. I'm questioning now whether the purple sectors are really working out there, but certainly that middle sector worked for him. That could mean that he's got more downforce than the drivers running at the head of the field. Ricky Maru is still out on track, but coming into the pits. And this then is Milan on his way across the line, and that is 2.5 tenths of a second lifted up to his teammate, so it's 7 1/8 for the McLaren team. We have also then got certainly one of the Haas drivers. This is Atsu, whose teammate is Unsku, and is just coming out of the pits as well. Down into turn 1 we go. Hook that one up very nicely indeed, and then straightens up turns 2 and 3 as much as possible. There's a stripe of a cloud across the sky, unless that's a missile, but that only happens in Jeddah, right? Shouldn't really joke about these things. Through turns 4 and 5, and it's faster for Atsu, not by a lot, but faster by some. Ricky's still out there, heading into the pit lane, and then waiting for the fastest runners to come out. The top 3 at the moment, they're all out on their outlaps, and I think it's going to be Unsku, followed by Merckx, followed by Moist. I think that's an invalidation, is it? Well, certainly Atsu didn't like the look of that lap, so that one won't go down in the history books for him, unfortunately. Let's see where Unsku is at the moment. It looks like we've got lots of outlaps and in-laps happening. This is Unsku weaving sharply around. Behind him on track, well, we have Merckx out there, and Moist out there. So we get to watch the 3 of them tackle this final lap in turn, in reverse order. So Unsku's still warming those tyres, and hoping that this guy in front will go into the pits for him, get out of his way and stop distracting him, and I think that's going to happen. Here comes Unsku then to take on sector 1 of the final lap with 50 seconds left on the clock. This is going to be it for the drivers. This is the final lap. This is the best the track is going to get for them. Big lockup into turn 1 for Unsku, but he still made the apexes. A little wiggle on the way through, but that probably showed how fast he was going through turns 2 and 3. Let's go into turn 4. Not really getting the rotation we want, so Unsku across the timing beam, 1/10 of a second faster only. Let's follow then with Merckx and see his first sector timing, and Merckx next up then to cross the line now, and it's 1.5 tenths faster than he's been before. Next up we have Moist, who gets to tackle that next lap marker. Ricky, I think, is done in 4th. Beyond a Ball could get both of them. Here comes Moist, and he's slower. He's slower than he's been before. So Merckx going quicker in the first sector than the top 3. Let's wait. That's a 1/4 of a second faster for Unsku in sector 2. So he is going to lift himself, it seems, at least for the first portion of the lap. Here comes Merckx, and he's 0.4 of a second faster. I haven't got time to see Moist's middle sector, but here we go with Unsku to cross the line. He will go second at the moment, but I think Merckx is about to get him. Merckx through turn 14. At the moment, he is 0.4 of a second up on Moist's time. We're about to cross the line now, and Merckx nabs it. We've just got Moist left, but Merckx got a 1:26.9. I don't know that Moist has got that left in the car. He's got the help from his teammate in front, who doesn't help him a great deal, but gets out of the way nonetheless. Here comes Moist to the line, and it's not fast enough. It is so close. It is less than 1/10 of a second between your double world champion, the Maestro Moist, and Merckx, the champion of Season 3. Unsku's in 3rd position, some 0.4 of a second off. 0.3 away from Moist with Ricky Maru, Jeremy Clarkson, and Bjorn de Boer. Ivan Tonsik goes into the pits, so he won't finish, and it's Merckx who takes the pole once again. But I think we are going to have a race on our hands. Look at the gaps. Super, super close at the front of the field. We have got the top 5 are within a second of each other here, as we've got Moist in the driver chat room already saying absolutely outstanding lap from Merckx. So a really good one from the Mercedes driver. And Merckx acknowledging that Moist was close. That's very good to see. They're going for it. And Ricky saying, I'm not even second anymore. The race is still to come. Qualifying is a different skill set, as you know. So we shall see. Here goes then Merckx in the Mercedes, takes the pole position, a 126.937 from Moist. We've got champions on the front row. It's Unsku on third position with Ricky Maru in fourth and Jeremy Clarkson, the Jamaican Jeremy Clarkson, in fifth. Bjorn de Boer is in sixth with Speedy Spud and Milan behind, with Atsu and Nike on row 5. In 11th is Sticky. Floyd Pink is 12th. Chuck Norris is 13th, and Ivan Tonsik will be at the back for his first race in a long time. So we shall wait and see how this one all works out. Hopefully he can avoid trouble. Ivan saying not as terrible as he expected, so that's good news, good to hear. So excellent stuff. Okay, so... Ooh... Okay, we're going racing. Unfortunately, that's happened very quickly, and it's dropped the clutch, and go, go, go. Merckx away, and Moist with him. Nice and tidily from the start. We've got the Haas chasing down on the outside of Unsku, trying to cut in here for turn 2 and 3. Moist leaving a gap to the outside, and Merckx away nicely. It's followed by Moist and Unsku, and it's the Red Bull of Ricky Maru in P4. Following them well. I think we're going to have a 4 or a 5-way battle here at the head of the field, with Bjorn de Boer in the Williams latching on nicely to the back of the group. The Haas and the Aston Martin go side by side of Unsku and Moist, who unceremoniously welcomes the Haas to check out the sand on the exit of the corner. Ricky goes all the way around the outside, and he's now challenging Moist down the inside into that difficult corner, turn 9 and 10. This is a very, very narrow turn for Ricky, so it looks like the Aston Martin with the better lane to get away from the corner, but all the drivers away well enough. The Red Bull at the back is Sticky, who's struggling, but side by side into turn 11 go our Red Bull and our Haas of Unsku and Ricky Maru. And they continue to go side by side. I don't know if Unsku has had so much side by side action all season last, let alone the first race. Ricky Maru then away out of the corner. We've got Jeremy Clarkson defending. From the second Haas. That really surprised me how quickly we went racing there today. I must have miscalculated the clock. Anyway, it is Strike Moist, just 0.4 of a second away. Lots of changes coming, I think, down into the corner. We've got Unsku down into turn 1 ahead of the double world champion, our Maestro Moist. It looks like a front wing end plate gone begging from the Mercedes, the second of the Mercedes at the early part of the lap, and that is really going to hurt as we look for position change to start with. And it is 2 up for Unsku, who's taken the lead against Merckx. So had a fantastic run. Looks like Merckx must have had a problem coming out of turn 2 and 3, but Merckx getting mullered by Unsku early doors, and Unsku getting away nicely already. 0.3 of a second. 2 places up for Bjorn de Boer as well. Just 3 down for Speedy Spurn and for Sticky, stalwarts of the International Racing League here, as Strike Moist gets the car tucked in onto turn 10 and gets to start the DRS train as we go through. Bjorn de Boer in 4th, Ricky Maru in 5th, Jeremy Clarkson, followed by Atsu, well, not for long, and Milan trying to crowd him out round the outside as well as Jeremy Clarkson tries to turn into the corner, can't find a way in, and he's passed by 2 cars. Looks like Milan's going to get the 2 of them as they go side by side with Atsu, and there is, great move from Milan. Very, very clever stuff to get past there. We've got Floyd Pink down in the Williams in 9th. We've got Speedy in 10, the Spud in 10th with Nike. Chuck Norris with his father, Chuck Norris, behind. Ivan Tonsik in 13th, ahead of Sticky. But we go down the main straight to start lap 3, and it's Unsku with a lead of 0.8 of a second, although everybody, of course, has got DRS down here. So we'll see if anyone fancies a jump down into turn 1 for a overtaking opportunity. I think the third group of cars were certainly negotiating over who might be able to make a move. That is Chuck Norris, Ivan Tonsik picking up the race pace already. But looks like Sticky has got a lot of work to do out there in 14th position. Tyres, we need to know now. It is soft tyres on Ønskud. That explains why he was away so well at the start of the race. Hard tyres for Merckx and Moist. Pretty typical for our champions here to go conservative for the first stint. We see that quite frequently. Bjorn de Boer and Ricky Maru, Milan and Atsu all on the medium tyres, and then a bit of a mix between the medium and the hard. Looks like a one stop for the majority of the drivers. Will Ønskud be able to get away well enough here and gap the field to the extent that the soft tyres will work to then switch only onto the hard tyres later on? This is Milan picking up plenty of places so far and moving forward nicely for McLaren. But the top group are all separated by the tiniest of margins. There went Merckx 9/10. He's almost slipped out of DRS from Ønskud. And then I think if Moist can stay with Merckx, we may still be on for a challenge here for Merckx. Remember, he wiped the floor with the field last season. He was defeated only twice on track over a Grand Prix distance for Merckx. In his best days, Moist was never that dominant, so it's definitely going to be a big challenge for the likes of Ricky, for Bjorn, for Moist to take it to Merckx here, who tends to get stronger in the final stint of the race. Plenty of action happening behind as the Red Bull of Ricky Maru is fighting off Bjorn de Boer, and he's stuck on the inside line there, Ricky, and gets the rear axle just rotating too much around, and that allowed Bjorn de Boer to come through, but Bjorn did a lot of work to make that happen. Has a big lock-up from one of the second or third position cars, couldn't quite catch it in time, but Moist is only 0.4 of a second behind Merckx here. Merckx hanging on like for dear life to the 1 second gap of Ønskud in front, and Ønskud's tyres will start to degrade very quickly on full tanks of fuel. We've got another McLaren, that's Speedy Spud, exploring the limits of the sand runoff areas here, and he's in 9th position with Chuck Norris just behind him. Floyd has caught Jeremy Clarkson, and they'll be heading through Gambon corner soon enough and across the line. We've got Moist then in 3rd position. He's just 0.5 of a second now behind Merckx, and Merckx is starting to pick up the pace a little bit here. They'll have a long run with DRS. I wonder, is Ønskud going to be vulnerable to both drivers? But the first car with the profit on the DRS is Merckx, and he should find an easy way to the braking zone here. He shows his hand to Ønskud, who doesn't defend at all, doesn't put himself offline, and now that looks like a red flashing light on the back of Merckx's car. That might be charging, or it might be clipping and out of battery. We don't know anymore. It used to be really obvious. It's less so now. Depends what charge mode they put the battery into, and the amount of recovery of energy that's happening. And that's another braking issue for the Mercedes, catching that inside tyre on the way into turn 8. We'll see if it happens again into turn 9. It definitely does. It certainly seems as if Merckx is pushing very hard indeed. Ønskud, though, I'm sure will be starting to feel the wear on those soft tyres. It's lap 5 of 29, and Bjorn de Boer and Ricky Maru continue to fight amongst themselves. Bjorn is just about staying with Moist's pace here. But they are on the hard tyre versus Ricky and Bjorn de Boer's medium tyre. We might see that the drivers pit around half distance regardless of what tyre they're on. So strong is that medium tyre that the drivers want to spend as long as possible on it. Looks like we've got a fair amount of smog and smoke around the circuit at the moment, but Ønskud leads by 0.4 of a second from Merckx, who is getting a fantastic drive out of the corner, and he's challenged by Moist there on the inside as well. Moist following him through, and Merckx stuffing up the first corner and stitching himself right up coming through here. The two champions collide into the exit of turn 3. They tangle wheels, an inadvertent situation there. Merckx managed to rescue it. It looks like Bjorn de Boer goes around the outside of Ricky Maru, and Moist has managed to stay with the Red Bull in third, but Unsku has been let off there. They both got past him, but made a meal of navigating out of turn 1 and 2 together. Tangled wheels, and unfortunately with open wheel cars, it's a bit of a crapshoot who's going to end up with a problem. That was Ricky fully spinning, and I wonder if he had a little help from the rear there, as I think Moist might have let Merckx back through, and from a sporting perspective, unless Moist had a problem coming through turn 10, but the order between those two is resumed as it was before, but 9/10 of a second separate them. Unsku has a lead of 1.8 now, as Merckx and Moist will hope to run a lap or two longer than Ricky and Bjorn de Boer, who are on the medium tyre. And Milan is not so far away that he couldn't feature in this, still at this stage of lap 6 of 29. The leader is Unsku. Second position now, Bjorn de Boer. And he was certainly a good challenger for Merckx through season 3 when he was here to play. And Ricky makes the pass into second place then into the turn 1. That was nicely done with the use of DRS that you do earn. You earn DRS by staying with the car in front when it's really difficult. So it's not undeserved, but it just looks a bit easier than we would like it to be. 10-second penalty for Atsu speeding in the pit lane. We'll see if that precipitates a retirement. Sometimes that's what happens with drivers. They go off into the pit lane to retire, and they ignore the pit lane entry speed limit. It looks like a tyre change at least for Atsu. He's gone on to the hard tyres, so will likely be coming out of the pit lane. He's got to pay 10 seconds at the end of the race usually, and that's going to hurt. And there you see the penalty flag on the car. Unsku's lead, 2 seconds clear now from Ricky Maru and Bjorn de Boer, with Merckx the Merciless right behind him and making a nuisance of himself in the mirrors. It hasn't taken long for Merckx to catch this pair now after coming to contact with Moist. Ricky will be pleased to see a car between himself and Merckx. Ricky spent much of season 3 stuck behind Merckx and unable to get the job done and get the W ahead of him. But Unsku on a strategy of his own here. He needs to get away like a scolded cat here and disappear, open the gap, and switch to the hards as late as he can get away with. Bjorn de Boer, and now we've got Merckx down the inside. Merckx going to take a very narrow run through the corner. Navigating this a little bit better, but space needs to be left all the time. You have to leave the space as Bjorn de Boer struggles. We're going to go 3 wide at least down towards turn 4. Ricky alongside with Merckx. Ricky braking early. Merckx sweeping around the outside, slightly off the circuit potentially, and Bjorn de Boer losing out that one, losing 2 or 3 places in the space of a sector. But Merckx into second place, Ricky on the mediums into third place, and we have Moist then behind him, and then behind Moist is Bjorn de Boer. So we'll wait to see if Ricky can stay with Merckx. His tyres will be aging faster than Merckx, of course, but it should still have the edge in terms of outright speed, and he seems to have closed up quite comfortably to Merckx. He'll be happy to make it one-on-one battles, because when you start battling with 2 or 3 other drivers at the same time, you can end up with big problems. But running through, it is lap 8. They are ticking down very quickly. I expect to get through to lap 12 at least on the mediums, if not later into the race from the start here, although they're running full tanks of fuel, of course. But we've got Unsku out in the lead by 2.1 seconds, while these other drivers start to fight amongst themselves. Moist just easing his way past Ricky with a little bit of help from electrical deployment. They both had DRS, so Moist just eases his way through. Ricky needs to try and stay with them, but not take too much out of the tyre and leave a stint short enough to bear with the hard tyres later on. He just runs slightly wide, does Ricky, on the entry. You might pick up a warning for going quite that wide. It is essentially widening the corner beyond the limit, and certainly the game will penalise drivers for doing that. Running through turn 8 we go. Merckx picking up a bit of tyre smoke as usual. It doesn't seem to worry him too much. And there we go, into turn 10 once again. But Moist looking really good here. Gap behind, growing. Gap in front, shrinking. And making a little look into turn 11. I don't think either driver thought that was actually very serious, but still, it probably keeps Merckx checking his mirrors or his chevrons on his HUD. So this is mouth-watering prospect here. I wonder where Ønskue is going to get to. I think his pace is starting to drop off. It's lap 9 of 29. Could he potentially think about a 20-lap stint on the hard tyre, I wonder? That would be a brave one, I feel. Here is then Moist. The car in front does not have DRS, so Moist is going to go alongside and past his most recent championship rival. And Ricky almost running into them both there as they go into turn 2. But Moist back into second place now. He's got Merckx directly behind him, Ricky, and then Bjorn and a bit of a shape there on the way into turn 4. Not a big attempted move, but I think still something that he's thinking about. Let's just check on the rest of the drivers. Speedy Spud on his own in P6. Nike is in 7th with Ivan Tonsig up into 8th place and still on his starting tyres. The rest of the drivers have pitted. Milan down in 9th has fitted the hard tyres, and he's going to hope for 19 laps on those hard tyres. So it could be on for Ønskue here. Floyd Pink is 10th. Jezza Clarkson in 11th, has taken time off from the farm. It's Chuck Norris in 12th, Atsu in 13th, and then Sticky at the back on 8-lap-old mediums and locking up on the way into the corner. So back to the battle at the head of the field on lap 10 of 29. We're nearing the point where the hard tyre window is open. The medium is probably not open at this stage. But Ønskue will be thinking about it as the gap starts to shrink down to 1.3 seconds. I wonder if Ønskue is headed towards the pit lane around about now. Let's have a look. He does peel to the right hand of the track. Strike Moist, Merckx, Ricky Maru and Bjorn de Boer take Ønskue as he pits. And now it's back to Merckx going for the move and overtaking Moist just as we've seen before. These two now just swapping positions. This is what Ricky and Merckx did all season long last season. Some fantastic races between the two of them where they spent barely more than a lap at a time in the lead because they just kept trading places. But almost always it was Merckx who came out on top in the end. Ivan pits and picks up a 10-second penalty. It's quite easily done here. You can stretch that pit lane entry, but it can be quite tempting because there's no real curve or stoppage area in front of you. There's just one marker board. It's quite hard to judge. Certainly it is for me anyway. Here comes Moist then with the DRS down the back straight. He's got Ricky behind him, but by a larger degree. So Ricky, 10-lap-old mediums, will be thinking about taking the pit stop shortly to make the move as Strike Moist in second place tries to leapfrog and DRS games with Merckx here to try and distance themselves from the chasing pack. We'll see where Ønskue is. It's important where he came out. Any traffic? No, he's in beautiful clear air is Ønskue. Sticky gets a penalty. This is Strike Moist once again to pass the Mercedes. Photo copy of what went before. And down into the corner we go. Already we've done the work. We've got a narrower line from the Mercedes. Looks like Moist is away well enough here. And that gap is probably big enough to stop Merckx coming back. It does work well, this second straight on the track and second DRS zone for the drivers. It can often help them fight back again if they were behind at the detection point, of course. Keep having the game sound go very quiet in my ear. I hope it's not affecting the stream too much. We've got Ricky in third place, staying on the back of this group, but only just, and I think about to slip out of that DRS zone as they get so close together under the braking concertina effect into turn 10. Merckx then is following behind Moist. Might go for an opportunity down into turn 11, doesn't though. And the Mercedes Power taking the lead pair of drivers towards the provisional podium at the moment as we snatch a break there from Moist. It's usually sorry, from Merck. It's usually Merck that's the one that lights up the tyres that way. Lap 12 of 29. I think the drivers will be targeting lap 15 off the hards to get onto the medium. Might be a bit early. Here comes Ricky, though, into the pits. And in we go for Ricky Marou off the medium tyre. Big slide. And he got that perfectly judged. Looks like Merck being the overtaker this time against Moist once again. And again, it doesn't matter how many laps you lead. What matters is whether you're leading lap 29 down that chasing way. Well, Speedy Spud picks up a position. Unsku is in 4th place and chases down Speedy Spud. Ricky has left the pit lane and rejoined just ahead, I think, of Bjorn de Boer. But Ricky is sliding his way from a narrow, dirty line into turn 1. Might bring Bjorn de Boer into at least DRS zone here on the back of Ricky. Behind him, Nike. Getting used to his seat in the Lance Stroll seat of Aston Martin here. We've got Milan in P8. Chuck Norris picks up a penalty, but thankfully it's just the bottom 4 drivers in the grid that are currently penalised. Jeremy Clarkson in 9th. Floyd Pink is in 10th. Ivan Tonzik went onto the soft tyres for a short stint here, which is a slight surprise for me, but obviously decided a 2-stopper is the way to go. There is Chuck, followed some distance by Atsu, and then Ivan Tonzik. I wonder if we had a change of... do we have a number of stops? No, it's just Sticky who stopped twice. So that doesn't really explain what's happened. Ivan Tonzik then down into 13th with Sticky down in 14th. And here are your leaders once again down the start-finish straight, and Moist picks up the lead at the start of lap 14. So... it looks like it's just going to be back and forth between these two. Moist is absolutely secure in that Aston Martin seat. They don't want anybody else driving that car, that lead car in the constructors. He took them to two, I think even, yes, 2 consecutive constructors titles, seasons 1 and 2. Merck was driving the Kick Sauber in season 3. And won the championship. I think V-Carb won the championship with Ricky. But Moist then leads them away by half a second only. Unsku, some 18 seconds back. But just keep an eye on that gap. 18.4 seconds on lap 14. I think the drivers will stop for medium tyres. I would anticipate Merck does the opposite here of whatever Moist does, if he can, if he's got tyres to be able to enable that. Because there's no use running around at the pace of your rival when you could try and do something different with an in or an out lap cycle. On new medium tyres, they will fare better than the hard tyres, but maybe Moist is ready to pit himself here at the half distance point of the race. Stays left, so does Merck. So they're staying out as the gap to Unsku drops by only 1/10 of a second in that cycle, and Merck breezes past using the DRS. His rival here for the potential win. We may get more drivers vying over the podium towards the end of the race. Ricky and Bjorn de Boer are still close together. Let's have a look at those two. As here comes Bjorn. It's just starting to cross over to start their 15th lap. Here is Bjorn then to go past the Red Bull of Ricky Marou. That was easily done. I think Ricky just taking a bit of a opportunity to lift and coast through the next corner. Mercked right on the tail of the Aston Martin of Moist. But Moist leads at the moment by just 0.3 of a second. Some gold on the helmet here for Merckx. I wonder if that's in honour of his reigning championship title. Or he just liked the design. I don't know. We shall see. It's Moist rocking car number 5 out there. Haven't quite caught what number. It's number 80 that Merck is wearing, so it's good to see. And here is Merck then, 0.3 of a second away. So the question is, will they pit together or will they alternate here? I think we'll see a pit stop, will we? Slight drift to the right. No, the hard tyres are running and running, but the gap to Unsku is now down to just 17 seconds, or it was for a moment. Merck goes through. Unsco 18 seconds away from these two, as looks like Moist is going to try and get Merck back into turn 4. Goes the long way around the outside. That's a surprise to me, but he gets the job done into turn 4, and that's a little taster of what might happen towards the very end of the race if these two are battling. It's starting to tension. The excitement is starting to build now for what could be the end of the race. If they're going to alternate the DRS down the main straight, they're going to have to start doing something a little bit different to make sure that they have the ability to retake if they want to, or if they need to, on that final lap. It really is just into turn 1 and into turn 4, the major overtaking positions on the track. It's really difficult to make it stick anywhere else. But here then your two leaders come through, and Unsco just getting into turn 9 and 10 now, so some distance back. Here we have Ricky Maru getting past Speedy Spud and sweeping across the nose. Speedy Spud, of course, still on his starting tyres, just like Moist and Merckx. So that's a sign perhaps that the mediums are the better tyre to be on right now. If you needed one, you probably didn't. But Ricky is in 4th and Bjorn Borg down in 6th. Here is then Merckx once again to DRS pass, I imagine. Moist, I'm not quite sure which way Moist was going to go, whether he was going to defend or not. That's a good distance for Merckx ahead of Moist, but a little lock up again. How does he keep the tyres alive? I just don't understand how Merckx mistreats his tyres to this extent and always seems to be able to come back. Here is, talking about comeback, here is Moist back into turn 4 once again. He really is showing Merckx that he can have him in both corners if he so wishes. That is Bjorn de Boer, wheels tangled with the McLaren. We've seen this already tonight, and hopefully it doesn't end the same way. But that is Bjorn just getting the DRS, and so is Speedy Spud. So Spud is going to try down the inside, and they try to sweep across the nose. It wasn't quite on, they just touch, but I think they will live to fight another day. Meanwhile, Ricky Maru smiles to himself in the helmet as they make a meal of passing each other and slow each other down as a result. Lap 17 of 29. It's got to be pit stop time soon for Moist and Merckx, but 0.3 of a second between them. So Moist has basically told Merckx, doesn't matter if you are behind me on lap 29, I can get back past you into turn 4. Obviously, they will fight harder, but that's playing on Merckx's mind now as Moist comes on out of the final corner. Will it be a late call to the pits? No, it will not. Here is Merckx then once again to ease his way through and past the Aston Martin. And then we'll see if Moist can optimise his route out of turn 2 and 3. It was a good turn 1 for him relative to Merckx, who was offline slightly. That is Merckx just using the ERS just to stop the comeback move. He would like to get into the pits ahead of Moist, I think. I think that's the plan anyway. And the gap between Ricky and Bjorn de Boer has opened a little bit. The gap to Unsco is now 16.4. And I think Unsco is going to retake the lead of this race when the leaders pit. And that is going to make this a nice three-way battle at the head of the field. Speedy Spud is in 6th with Milan in 7th. Mr. Clarkson is in 8th. And Nike in 9th. Floyd Pink out in 10th place. Looks like bit of action happening here. Chuck Norris versus Atsu. And Chuck Norris using the DRS to good effect. Makes the pass past Atsu on the start of lap 18 for them. We've got Ivan Tonzik down in 13th place, pitting for the second time of asking, and will presumably fall to the back of the field once again as a result. And the leaders come through to go through into the final corner for the 18th time. Will we see a pit stop? They're going to follow each other. They're not going to do something different. They're going to follow each other into the pits as Moist closes right in on the Mercedes, who has an earlier turn into the pit lane. So advantage to him. And I wish I could give you the camera angle that I wanted to there, because here they come side by side almost, and they just feed back in slightly. So that was Ivan into the pits, almost about to be lapped, I think, as Unsco does retake the lead of the race. Ivan rejoins in between them. Ricky overtakes the two previous leaders, and Bjorn de Boer slots in behind. We had a five-way battle at the start of this race. I think we're going to, at the end of the race, too. Medium tyres for our two champions here. A double champion, Moist, the Maestro, and Merckx, the Merciless, our single world champion from Season 3, as they are now finding themselves in third and fourth place. Unsku leads, though, by 4.2 seconds with 10 laps to go from Ricky Marou, who has a further 1.2 seconds ahead of Merckx and Moist. The better tyres, though, on P3 and P4 drivers. Bjorn will be hoping to take advantage of any issues for the cars in front. I noticed Moist still rocking that default helmet. He's all about business, is Moist. He doesn't care about all the accoutrement and the different helmet designs and gloves and suits. For him, it's just focus on the racing, I think. This is him on board with Moist. Another kick of tyre smoke there from Merckx. I think it's going to be easy pickings for Merckx on Ricky Marou. He's already crowding him in the mirrors. Ricky picks up a bit of tyre smoke himself. He'll get the DRS profit here. That's Ivan getting out of the way of everybody. This then is another overtake for Merckx past Ricky Marou, and that was super easy. But here comes Moist down the inside into turn one. They'll be right close together, and when they did this before with other cars around them, they cost themselves a heck of a lot of time. But that is Moist with the DRS. Ricky's got it there as well, so Moist quite happy, I think, at this stage to follow with 9 to go. And Unsku leads by 3.6 seconds on the oldest hard tyres among this group. Milan's on a similar strategy on 10-lap-old hard tyres, but we know that they will do plenty of race laps, so no real problem for them. But at the moment, Merckx is in second. Moist and Merckx need to work together now in the way that they perhaps haven't done quite so well to try and catch Unsku, who was catching Sticky to put a lap on Sticky out there in 13th position. Moist closes right in on the way into turn 11 on lap 20. That's a yellow flag there for the Red Bull of Sticky, who's just lost the last place, lost the 13th place to Ivan. And Strike Moist then just riding the coattails of Merckx until they get into the final corner, and he gets to use the DRS once again. Let's see, that will now open. We will start to distance ourselves from Ricky Marou. And here we go once again. Oh, interesting. Gave up the chance to make the overtake then. Ricky thinks, oh, I'll have a little bit of that, thank you very much, if you two are going to play games. As Moist fancies a look. That was a little bit of teleportation thanks to some lag, I think. Again, looking down the inside, but I don't think he's got the overlap here. Merckx just washing out mid-corner. So neither driver particularly comfortable at the moment on these mediums. I'm sure they will be very soon. But they were running those hard tyres really, really well. Unsku's gap at the head of the field now just down to 1.6 seconds. It's got to be that they'll close in comfortably before the end of the race. Unsku, this is your lead. Then Unsku in the Haas, Merckx in second in the Mercedes, followed by the DRS using Moist. And there's a lot of lag on the car. One of the two cars anyway, relative to my server position. They may not be seeing anything, but it's certainly where I am. I'm seeing some jinking from Moist. He wasn't quite close enough, was he, coming through the previous corner, as Merckx is trying to get that DRS. And Moist really needs to grab hold of the opportunity, because now it looks like that DRS flap on the car in front is going to open. Oh, it's not. Well, if it isn't, he's declining the use of the DRS, which is that DRS is functioning, but just not visually showing. I think the Ineos did not open, but he certainly seemed to have some speed. Merckx then starting to now try and hassle Unsku. How hard will Unsku defend? Well, the door is open, but Unsku was equal to the challenge by Merckx there. But it does look like he's got poorer run out of the corner. This is Moist with the fastest first sector of anybody so far in the race. Merck just on different racing lines, just trying to make sure that Unsku knows he's there. Sticky has retired. Where is Sticky, though? Oh, no, he's left the session, sorry. No, he has retired. But he's retired in the pit lane. So this then is the run down the back straight in the opposite direction to the start-finish straight. Unsku defends to the inside. As it's going to be a through goes Moist situation, is it? Not quite. But they may come to blows. Unsku taking the wide line and should have the better braking zone for the next corner. Ricky has been distanced here and back into 4th place now. Here comes Merckx, trying to make the move at an early juncture. And I feel that Moist will walk through the gap that is left to him. He tries to get the launch away. And here he is with the ERS. Now the DRS is functioning. Moist is going to split the difference between the two and pass both of them. And a great move. But it looks like Merckx is fighting onto the braking zone. Moist is certainly knows how to get around this situation. And cut back. Looks like that was a driver off the circuit to driver right on the way through. But Merck back into the lead versus Moist once again. And Unsku hanging on for a podium potentially here if he can stay with this pair. That's a big if, though, with the tyre delta that he's got. He's on 12-lap-old hard tyres. They're on 4-lap-old medium. Ricky on 10-lap-old hards too. So down into turn 10 we go. With the DRS will be enabled for the drivers, but is it enough to challenge onto the brakes? It is not enough. It's rarely ever is it enough unless someone really makes a mistake coming out of turn 10. There really isn't much chance down that short little straight. But there are still 6 laps to go for our leaders, and we still have a real race on our hands as usual here at the International Racing League. Really grateful to everybody that likes the video and subscribes to the channel and shares their favourite moments. Make a clip. Clips are available on my channel, so make a clip and share it. And now for the first time we see Merck defending down the start-finish straight. He's going to force the Aston Martin around the outside and then brake late at the apex. And the Aston Martin trying to get the better run through, and he tucks in neatly into turn 2, and we haven't seen that before from Moist, and that's the first time he's deployed that tactic. He's also got the second bout of DRS thanks to Merckx making him go the long way round turn 1, and that was an interesting one. So Moist revealing a new trick against Merckx here, and marching into the lead of the race. Unsku might be able to join this battle. And Merck picks up another little bit of tyre locking. It's not drastic or particularly bad. Atsu the only penalty on the remaining runners now. We lost Truck Norris, we lost Sticky, but we have 12 running and remaining on the grid. Ivan Tonzik is on soft tyres again. He just wants the fastest lap today, I think, as Merck moves around in the braking zone behind Moist, who is implacable into turn 11. As I said, you need a massive overspeed to be able to make the move before then. But I'm sure Merck is planning his next overtake. Will Moist do what Merck did previously and defend to the pit wall? Oh, that's a very wide one there from Moist, who makes a bit of a hash of that corner. I reckon that the Mercedes will get the DRS and the Aston Martin will not. Yeah, affirm that. But Moist, using the ERS deployment, is able to stay close enough to continue to challenge Merck here. So a rare mistake from Moist into turn 14 and 15. It's only 6 laps into the medium tyre stint, but they've been pushing hard. So maybe they're already letting go on our double world champion. He would love to become the triple world champion, of course, and not be joined and having 2 double world champions here. But time will tell. It's only race 1 of 10 of the new International Racing League Season 4. And an absolute cracker we have had on our hands already. Ricky has been running and playing the League of Destruction. I wonder if he hasn't perhaps been able to commit the amount of time that he would normally commit to tackling these two. So down in 4th place at the moment. I'm sure he'll take it, and would have taken it if handed it to him at the start of the race. But now for the first time, it does look like Moist is losing out a little bit. And I'm just going to check on the telemetry situation. I won't be reading it out, but you can see it on screen. You can see the difference between the two, looking at Merck now and now Moist. And also Unscoot. So I don't tend to make a habit of that, because I know some drivers like to listen in. And that's not great for the strategy. Certainly not worried about dirtying the tyres is Mercked here. But Moist has managed to stem the flow of time away that was happening before to Mercked, and took back in with 0.3 of a second gap. Now 1/4 of a second, and he'll just keep Mercked guessing, I think. He may decide now on lap 26 that it is better to be the hunter on the way to start the final lap than it is to try and make the move. He doesn't feel particularly threatened, I think, from Unscoot behind. Ivan Tonzik, sadly, has retired and in the pit lane, so that's a double DNF for VCarb today, unfortunately. Maybe Ivan was nursing some damage there and couldn't do it anymore, but done the right thing, of course, and gone into the pits in order to retire the car. And that saves us a late race safety car. It might be slightly too late for a safety car at this stage. Moist is hassling and harrowing Mercked in his mirrors, but will he actually make the move? It'd be just like Moist to just hang around, keep him guessing until the very final opportunity. But Mercked often keeps something in his pocket for the last couple of laps, and can manage to streak away, find an extra gear from the rest of the grid. Apologies for fans of the rest of the grid order. I'll go through and see the rest of the battles. Looks like the Haas of Atsu has just been lapped by his brother Ricky Maru. Down to the outside runs Moist this time, and we know he's quick through this section, and through he goes very nicely as Mercked picked up a lot of apex curb and unsettled the car. He does get the DRS though, and he'll be back past again with ease. I thought Unscoot might be able to challenge him, but again, I think Moist is quite happy enough to be following in Merck's shadow here for the next couple of laps. So that was that first all-important first sector of lap 27. Ricky Maru has just lapped brother Atsu, I think, and Bjorn de Boer is down in 5th place completely on his own. So is Milan, actually. I'm surprised that Milan hasn't been any further up. Floyd Pink and Speedy Spud, definite veterans of the International Racing League, are fighting hard over the lower paying points tonight, as Speedy Spud is in 8th and Floyd Pink in that 7th position. And just a little helping hand around the corner from Spud to Floyd Pink. Then we go and see Jeremy Clarkson in 9th, so there's not a lot of action happening further back. Nike in 10th, and Atsu, as I say, just been lapped by Ricky Maru. So as we close out sector 3 of lap 27, Moist is following Mercked, as he has done. His tyre wear will be increased a little bit, but following in the dirty air of the Mercedes. But honestly, I think the amount of straights and drag that you get will ease that significantly. And there you can see one of the first times that Moist is not too bothered about following and about making the overtake here on Mercked. So we will see when it comes to the very end of this race, as now, I can see something has definitely changed on the telemetry difference between the two. Unscoot's still not far away, and if these two do come to blows, I can see Unscoot being able to take this one, take the win at the end here. But this is going to be really, really interesting. Yes, as I look at the telemetry. It tells you everything you need to know about these two top-class champions here. They very, very much know what they're doing. Can Moist be able to pass Mercked here at the start of the final lap, or certainly the first sector of the final lap? We will see as we're about to go racing on that final lap. It is just the final sector of the penultimate lap at the moment, as Moist then looking for that opportunity. 0.3 of a second, 2.5 of a second away, right in the gearbox of that Mercedes now, and this is the best opportunity that he has to make the overtake. He couldn't be closer on the exit of turn 14 and 15. They will both be using all the tools available to them, but look at the overspeed of the Aston Martin. This could be the clincher for the win in the end, as Moist takes the lead and he dives down into turn 1. It looks like the Merckx, who's been slower through turn 2 habitually, might have just lit up the brakes for one too many times. We've got Moist, we've got Merck down the inside, Moist sweeping around the outside. There is possibly the hint of the tiniest touch, but now it's all Moist has to do is he's got the lead, and he now needs to make as few mistakes as possible on this final lap, not leave the door open to any speculative moves from Merckx. Moist versus Merckx, and Unsku right on his tail. We could have a drag race to the finish coming out of the final corner as well. We've got a difference in ERS deployment available between the top 2 and 3 cars, but I can see that everybody is building to a big finish here. We're going for a look down the inside. That could cost Merckx second place if he loses out to Unsku. As they flick between overtake and medium settings on their ERS deployment, Merckx has tried to keep something back here for the final run out of the final corner, and Unsku is right there. Unsku is trying to maximise this run. Ricky is definitely going to finish 4th unless something bad happens into the final corner. Looks like it's going to be Strike Moist who finally topples Merckx, and it's the first race of the season goes the way of Strike Moist by 1.5 tenths of a second to Merckx, and there goes Ricky Maru in that 4th position. What a finish we had for us. Brilliant stuff, and Merckx is finally going to be challenged here for the start of our 10 race season. Beyond a Ball, P5. Maybe it is that Moist just doesn't like 16 race seasons, and he only shows up in mega mode for the 10 round seasons. Milan finishes 6th place for McLaren. Speedy Spud will bring a double point score home for the Papaya team from Woking, and they cross the line now, and a semi home race for McLaren with their Bahraini ownership. We have Floyd Pink in 8th position, who's just crossed the line. Jeremy Clarkson will use that power out of the final corner to finish 9th. It looks like Nike will be secure in 10th, but what a finish we had on our hands. 0.138 and 1/4 of a second separating first and second and third. Brilliant stuff from our guys here, and that sets us up for an incredible season here at the International Racing League, and I really hope that is a sign of things to come. Moist is going to be over the moon, I think, with that finish, and rightly so. Fantastic stuff for him. So great to see Moist back on top. Merckx in the Merc suit on the second spot on the podium. So it looks like it's going to be a cracking season for us. There goes the trophy for Moist. It's been a while. Just won the one race. That's not easy for me to say in season 3, but really was fantastic in season 1 and 2. And there's Unsku, new on the scene and up to 3rd position. I think we'll be very happy out there. So great to hear from Floydie there in the live chat as well. Always good to hear from you. This then is your provisional results. Moist wins by 1.5 tenths of a second ahead of Unsku, ahead of Merckx, and then Unsku just 4 tenths back. Ricky Maru 4 seconds away from the win, but came home in 4th with Beyond a Ball in 5th. Milan came home 6th with Speedy Spud 7th. Floyd in 8th. Jeremy Clarkson in 9th, and Nike in 10th. That's the Jamaican Jeremy Clarkson, I must say. Nike in 10th, taking home the final point. Atsu got the fastest lap, but it's not worth anything. Ivan came home in 12th, was classified in 12th with Chuck Norris and Sticky. Also failing to finish in 13th and 14th positions. Really enjoyed a great first race of the season. It's great to be back racing here, and hopefully we will keep your race days happy. 8 p.m. UK on Sunday nights, of course, on this channel, and it will keep you happy during the winter I know a lot of leagues shut down, but this one has managed to have consecutive calendar dates all the way through to late January. Brilliant stuff, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing. Share your favourite moments. My name's Webbo. This is the International Racing League on F1 24, and we will catch you on the next race day.